Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the equinox and the solstices from the North Pole. So without further ado, we will go straight up to the north as I can get, which is 90 degrees. That's 89 degrees. I can get more north than that, surely. In a previous video, we looked at how the sun behaves across the course of the year in Irish. So we had a look in an Irish language video. There we go, exactly 90 degrees north. We had a look at an Irish language video on how the sun appears to move in the sky. And I brought up a grid to help me do it. That grid will pop up later in the show as well. Here we are at the North Pole. We're nearly at the equinox. There we go. So here we are, the spring equinox, where daytime and nighttime are an equal length for most parts of the world. If you're at the North Pole or at the South Pole, there is no night or day, not really, on this date of the year. As you can see, the sun is just barely rising. It's sunrise, and it will be sunrise for a couple of days. The sun still hasn't risen there on the 22nd. We'll leave the sun get around again. It can be a little bit confusing waiting for the sun to reach directly south if you're at the North Pole, because at the North Pole, every direction is south. We don't just want to be looking south. We want to be looking in the southern direction that lines up with Greenwich in London. So here is our grid of the sky. We're going to zoom in here and we're looking for 180. So we're here-ish. And yep, 12 at the South Pole. The sun is just there on that line, but it is only rising at this time. If we push our way through the year, the sun will almost come straight up that line, not exactly straight up that line. There is a phenomenon called analemma, which we dealt with in the previous Irish language video. There will eventually be an English language video dealing with it as well, but it may be at the next equinox. So here we are, midsummer at the North Pole, and there's the sun, as high as it's going to get. And if you're at midsummer at the North Pole, the north is tilted towards the sun during summertime in our hemisphere. So the sun's going to stay there. It's going to stay in the sky, making this lovely little circuit all day. And if we speed time up a little bit, or a lot even, there's the sun making that little bit of a circle. It's hard to tell that it is a spiral, that the sun is sinking in the sky until we start coming up to the next equinox. So we're nearly there. A couple more days, and on the 20th or so, it's around the 20th or 21st that we have our solstices and our equinoxes all of the time. There we go. The sun is just there hitting the horizon. If I bring things around to what would be 12 o'clock on that date, we'll have the sun lining up with, well, with us roughly, but more accurately with Greenwich in London. So because of the way that we measure time, even though we're at the North Pole, so every direction is south, we should be seeing the sun directly in the south at midday. Although it may be a little bit different if daylight savings time is getting applied to the North Pole. That can pull things a little bit to the side. Here we go. Yeah, a little bit early, but there's the sun pretty much in line. Oh, we're off. I was looking at 160, not 180. We'll move forward a little bit. And it's hard to tell given that the sun is below the horizon, but yeah, roughly there. Here we are at 11:30. The sun's probably around here, not exactly here, but it is hard to tell. If we push forward from this point, if we keep pushing forward into winter time, then the sun will sink below the horizon. I'll do it day by day instead of minute by minute. There we go. So now we are into night time, and that night time will last all through winter. Now, I'll get rid of these lines for a second to make it a little bit more obvious. We've got Mars, we've got the Moon, we've got Jupiter. This is 2 o'clock in the morning, so of course it would be dark at this time. But if we speed forward, we can see the sky appearing to rotate. We can see the North Star appearing to stay in the same place, pretty much, at least. Here we are coming, oh, we just went through the day. We just went through what we would normally call daytime. This is 1 o'clock in the day, and it is dark at the North Pole because it is tilted away from the sun. If we speed this up a little bit more, you'll see that the North Star in the center actually begins to wobble a little bit. The North Star isn't directly in line with our axis, but it is close enough. You can see that it's transcribing a very small circle there, while the rest of the sky appears to whirl around it. We're coming up to midwinter now. Oh, still going hour by hour instead of day by day. Here we go. So this is midwinter at the North Pole. Of course, it's still going to be as pitch black a few days before midwinter and a few days after midwinter because the sun is so far below the horizon. Really, it's just a continuation of this very long night. We can see Venus popping up there as we move into February and up to sunrise. So this is the sun rising in March, and it takes almost all of March to do it. So we can see here the sun's just starting to come up at the beginning of March for the North Pole. And really, we've only lost all traces of nighttime by the middle of the month. We can see here, early in March, we can see Jupiter and Venus for quite a while. They'll stay visible in the sky for a couple of days in this sort of morning twilight glow until the sun finally rises the rest of the way up and actually comes into the sky. So the equinox is one of the most interesting times at the North and South Pole. For us on other parts of the world, the equinox almost seems boring because day and night are the same length. The sun is in the middle-ish region of the sky. It's the solstices that are really exciting and different for us in other latitudes. They're the longest days, the shortest nights, or vice versa. The sun is either at its highest or its lowest. It's extreme. But if you're at the North Pole, then midsummer is just the middle of the day, and it stays the middle of the day for days on either side. Midwinter is just the middle of the night, and it stays midnight for days on either side. But this portion of the year, and I'll get things going nice and fast, for this portion of the year, you're stuck in twilight. You're stuck with this evening glow, morning glow. Well, morning glow in this case. It is sunrise in the spring solstice in the northern hemisphere, sunset in the southern hemisphere for the March equinox, which would be the autumn equinox. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it does get a little confusing. There we go. It takes days and days for the sun to set or the sun to rise, and that gives you days and days to see this sunrise or sunset. They're often the most beautiful times of the day when the sun gives that sky that lovely pinkish color. I mean, here we are, early March at the North Pole, and you've got Venus and Jupiter and the Moon and Mars all in the sky in 2025. We've moved through a lot of time here, so that is going to be pretty far in the future, but these are the kind of views that you can be afforded and the length of time that you're afforded them. You never get to see sunrise for hours and hours or even days on other parts of the world. It really is limited to the North Pole and the South Pole. And of course, you have the aurorae, the aurora australis and the aurora borealis, depending on what side of the planet you're at. All of these things are achievable from the North and South Pole. Unfortunately, if you are at the North or South Pole, it is going to be incredibly cold, and thus going out and enjoying these things can be difficult because you are going to be, even if it is the middle of the day and the sun is shining at the North Pole, thanks to the wind speed and various other things, it's still going to be pretty cold. So we're going to drift back in our direction. Just take a quick look here at sunset on January 2025. That looks really nice with 4 planets in the sky and the moon. We've got that to look forward to. I need to move backwards in time, not forwards in time, to bring us back to today. So we can see here that as we drift through time, we're seeing the stars and planets move across our sky, but these would be interrupted with periods of brightness, with periods of day. We can see there coming up to midsummer, the shortest night, so the day is going to be pretty long. We can see sun set there as late as 9 o'clock, and we're continuing to push through back towards today, back to where we started at around March. So that is the upcoming equinox, as it will appear from one of the most interesting parts of the planet. Of course, the North Pole and South Pole, being extremes, have some very interesting things going on. I do hope you enjoyed this quick look into the sky. You may know that there will be a lot of Irish language videos this fortnight for Seachtain na Gaeilge. So Seachtain na Gaeilge is the Irish week. It always lasts for about 2 weeks, so it's really a fortnight of Irish. Hopefully it will be a month or even a year in the future, but there are going to be extra Irish language videos. You can read English about those Irish language videos on queebeanscontent.ie, my website. There will also be subtitles. But if you enjoyed this video looking at these other parts of the world, then make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and come back to join me again next time.